Okay. So, far away from the hinterlands, where Timberwall is, and our heroine, Ezzi Fanirr, lives, there is a place in the Ironlands, Normount, called the Deep Wilds. As far as humanity knows, there is no other civilization in Normount. But we do get hints every now and then. Now, just like us humans, these other civilizations may have their love affairs and their dramas, and just like humans, they can haunt the lands. For any number of reasons, there is unfinished business to be had. But the power behind these spirits could be, if more bizarre, they can be more powerful. So welcome to Ironsworn and the adventures of Ezzi Fanirr as she continues down her doomed path to becoming essentially the Wicked Witch of the North. So I'm going to give you a quick summary of last week's events before today's, because this is being recorded on the day that I will stream, Friday. A prelude to today's adventure, and it's directly connected. So let me catch you up. It is now summer of 42. We're going to be skipping one season, an adventure. In this summer, Timberwall is not a technologically high setting. Also, we're kind of in a place where there cannot be easy farming. There are, of course, the occasional tries. Some small batches of vegetables can be grown, but ultimately we are still in a hunter-gatherer situation, which means that the men go hunting, the women stay and gather. Before we get into the whole sexism, this is just how this society has decided to do their thing. There are, of course, exceptions. Ultimately, though, this is just how Timberwall had separated their society. That includes Ezzi Fanirr, who is a woman, who actually is still a child in their eyes. She's not yet, I guess she's 17. Maybe she's just now a woman. Either way, she is with 4 other of the women of the land. I had their names down, but the only one that Ezzi knows is Nambo, which we will get to later. So, Ezzi and the women are out foraging while the men are out hunting. These women can defend themselves if it comes down to it, but mostly their tactics are running and hiding. And while foraging, berries, mushrooms, that kind of thing, and herbs, Ezzi being an herbalist, Ezzi finds a strange arrow that she's never seen before. It feels like metal, but it looks like wood, and she doesn't know what it is. And then another arrow goes right by her head and nearly hits her. She has no idea what's going on, but it's time to gather up all the other women and run the fuck away. So Ezzi is pretty skilled at sneaking. It's how she makes it through dangerous situations when she can. So she is trying to get all the other women to not freak out as something is hunting them. It doesn't work. Some of the women freak out, and it draws more attention. So Ezzi and the women run away from oncoming arrows. Fortunately, nobody gets hurt. But Ezzi, being in this situation before, being in a combat situation before, realizes that there's too many women to handle. So she finds a hollow under a cliffside. The area that Timberwall is in the hinterlands, as you can kind of see from this map, is one of cliffs and forests. So Ezzi finds a hollow under the cliffside that is behind a bush, a very large bush. This isn't just some kind of brush. She shoves all the women under there, but there is no room for herself. With fewer people, it is easier to hide. So Ezzi hides and climbs up the cliff wall as best she can to get a high point to see who is hunting them. When she gets to one cliff, she peeks over the side and sees what it is. Some sort of gray-green creature. She had only heard legends of elves before, the tree people, and it makes no sense for them to be here because those legends are very much tied to the southern, or I guess the eastern, maybe the southeastern side of the Ironlands, whereas she is clearly on the western. Wait, did I get this mixed up? The eastern side. They're on the eastern side. The Deep Wilds are on the southwest. I know how to direction. So there are no rumors of that here. The rumors in the hinterlands tend to be things like wild beasts or wendigos or animal human hybrid creatures stalking the woods, not elves. So she's kind of confused by this view. That confusion doesn't last long because she hears a rustling behind her and realizes that there were two hunters hunting this group, and she's just been caught by the second one. Ezzi goes back and forth in her mind whether or not she should attack. She does have some combat knowledge, but ultimately she decides this would not be a wise move, and instead she puts her hands up and surrenders, hoping that she can convince this one not to kill her. It doesn't. It's more curious than dangerous at this point, but still dangerous, and the elf below hasn't found the other women involved, which is extremely useful. Ezzi had made an iron vow at the beginning of this adventure to make sure all of the other 4 girls escape with their lives and make it back to Timberwall. The elf takes Ezzi down to its partner. Neither of them speak human. And decide, instead of killing Ezzi, to take her back to their camp, wherever that might be. So she heads south with the elves as her captors. In the meantime, the other 4 women, including Namba, realize the danger is gone, and Ezzi had signaled to them to go away, shoot, go back to town. So they take this opportunity and escape while they can, hoping to call upon some help, because they don't know what they just saw. No human has actually seen elves. It's just rumor that there are some. So they go away, except for Namba, who lags behind, worried about, well, not her friend, but at least an acquaintance and someone she knows to be an important figure of Timberwall, as he is, after all, the village witch, more or less. Namba gets left behind and lost in the woods. In order to get a better view, she also tries to scale one of the cliffs, but falls and breaks her leg. It actually says injured her leg in my notes, but I feel like it's probably broken. It's probably broken. Well, Ezzi is an excellent healer, if only she were around. Back with the elves and Ezzi, the elves take Ezzi to the camp, which consists of 2 large trees, and one tree that looks unusual to Ezzi. She's never seen this particular type in this area. Usually it is pines, but not this one. While at the elvish camp, they are all creatures that you can see here. Thin, gangly, and they all have masks over their face. One of them has a dark oak mask instead of a softwood mask like the others. And this one seems to be the elder or leader, and he can speak human. He does not give his name. I don't think I have anything except for like 2 or 3 names here for the elves. But this leader starts to converse with Ezzi. Ezzi figures, okay, please let me go. And she's also trying to gather information of who they are and what they're doing here. And what she can gather from the way that the leader speaks is that they are trying to find a new home here in the hinterlands and far away from the deep wilds. That doesn't... Well, I mean, it wouldn't make sense if Ezzi knew more about elves, but it seems strange. They have a huge forest to the southwest. Why would they need the hinterlands? Ezzi, although pretty much proves her own worth that they shouldn't kill her, she does accidentally reveal the presence of Timberwall. And the other elves are like, oh, competition. We need to take care of that. The elves don't like humans. And who knows, maybe they're here because the humans have been encroaching on their lands to the southwest. So, deciding not to kill Ezzi, they lock her in the strange tree, which is like a prison tree. It has roots that wrap around the hollow center of it in order to keep Ezzi from escaping. There is nothing but an opening at the top for some light and a rooted system in front of her, so she's caught. While she's inside the tree, she watches the elves and figures out something about some things about them. Elven structures are just trees. They're just trees. We had decided, or I had decided last week, that these elves are very much along the veins of the elves from, say, Dwarf Fortress. You know, very tree hippie kind of things. They don't make houses. They grow trees. So she also discovers there are 7 of them, and although they're organized around the leader, they're not very well prepared for anything. Night falls, and Ezzi figures, okay, there's always at least one patrolling awake, but the others do have to sleep. Good to know that elves have to sleep. They're all caught in the trees. They're all waiting in the trees. Ezzi looks at the top of the prison tree that she's in and figures that she can squeeze through the opening. So she climbs. It's very difficult for her. She is not a strong or agile person. She loses her runes along the way. The runes fall into the prison tree. But she figures, well, she can create new bone runes later. So she makes it out and begins to sneak away, knowing that the other elves are somehow patrolling. But it is night, and nighttime in Normount means horrors. In this particular case, it is a mound of leaves behind a broken elvish mask. This is a hollow. A hollow is a vengeful elven spirit, and you would think it would be aimed at the humans. In fact, it seemed to have been summoned by Ezzi running away from the camp. But no, it isn't aimed for Ezzi, although in the beginning she does think so. It is aimed for the elves. So Ezzi runs the fuck away. Soon, though, the alarm is sound because it's not quiet, this hollow. It's not quiet. It sounds like a train whistle and madness. It is made by a spinning storm of leaves, a hurricane of branches and debris, and at the center of it is an elvish mask broken with dark blackened voids behind for eyes. The elves freak out, Ezzi freaks out, everybody runs. The hollow starts gaining on our group, our 7 elves and Ezzi, who is kind of a stranger in this mix, and Ezzi points to a specific cliffside. Having lived in Timberwall, part of the defense of dealing with monsters and bears and what have you is to climb up. So she and the elves climb up. They're not used to climbing cliffs, and it's fortunate that they do follow Ezzi's direction, because it turns out that the Hollow cannot climb either. It does have, though it be an angry spirit, it does seem to have some physical limitations. So, while cliffside, Ezzi says, "All right, I need information." Ezzi reveals to the leader that she has connections to the spirit, and this seems a spiritual thing. What is it? It is Balathul, the Hollow. Balathul is the vengeful spirit left over from their last home, and they, the elves, have been escaping from the deep wilds from Balathul, who has tracked them to this place. So Ezzi's like, okay, what is Balathul's purpose? It's a vengeful spirit. What is it trying to get vengeance on? All of this while angry hollow noises are happening underneath. And the leader says there is Balathul was once someone who had a deep affection for, I didn't give her a name, but Balathul was someone who was deeply in love with another elf. And that elf went hunting with Ch2. Ch2. I have trouble pronouncing this. Ch2 is one of the elves of the group. Now, everybody is Ch2's friend, so they didn't want Balathul to kill Ch2. They figured the best thing to do was to escape from the lands and hope that the Hollow had stayed behind. That didn't work. So, knowing what she does of her connection to the spirit, Ezzi gets an idea. If she had her runes and the blood of Ch2, she could get some insight on how to, if not satisfy, at least paralyze the Hollow. She explains this to the leader. The leader explains this to Ch2, and Ch2 elfs up. I guess you can't say man up, he's an elf. But her runes are still in the prison tree. Ch2 is an elf. He can unlock the prison tree. So the two of them sneak upwards and around the cliff. Right now, the rest of the elves are trying to get the Hollow's attention and make sure that it is paying, avoiding the movements of Ezzi and Ch2. Ch2 and Ezzi successfully sneak around the Hollow and make it to the prison tree. Ch2 opens it up, and Ezzi quickly leads him inside, grabs her runes, and cuts his hand. With the blood and the runes thrown, Ezzi reads the runes and hears a spirit or a hallucination or something sing a song in her ear. And she doesn't know the meaning of the song, and Ch2 cannot understand human. She can't ask. So she begins to sing this song. Ch2 turns his mask sideways in confusion and begins to sing as well. What neither of them know is that this song was a song sung to Balathul by his lover to placate him. So they sing this song and they walk out of the Hollow singing it. The rest of the elves on the cliffside catch on what's happening and they begin singing. The Hollow, not knowing who's singing this song in a female voice, slowly turns around but does not actually see Ezzi. Before it can complete its rotation, the leaves fall and the mask tumbles into the ground and they blow away. So for now, the monster is quiet. all of the elves decide, okay, perhaps it would not be wise to remove the village of humans, one of which has a connection to the spirit realm. But they still don't trust. And the leader explains this. Ezzi says that she thinks she's proven her right to earn some of their trust, or at least the trust of, how about you just leave Timberwall alone? But the leader says no. In order for them to trust any creature, they need to make sure that that creature has some connection to the forest. Because they are, after all, of the forest. And so Ezzi says, fine. When she falls asleep that night with the knowledge that at some point they will come for her to prove her worth, she wakes up and there's nothing. There's no trace of the elves at all, anywhere left over. All of their strange ironwood arrows have been retrieved from the area they had been fired at when she returns to where they were foraging. The prison tree is gone. The mask for the hollow has blown away, I guess. It's a dream. And except for 4 eyewitnesses, she's got no proof that this actually happened. On her way back to Timberwall in the morning, she sees that there was a search party out to find her, and are relieved to at least spot one of the 2 missing girls. Ezzi is important, but all members of Timberwall are important. The population is just not big enough to lose somebody on a whim. So Ezzi says, where's the rest? And it turns out that Namba is still out there somewhere. Cadigan, who you may remember from the last adventure, decides to go with Ezzi because Ezzi should not be alone. They cannot have the village witch wander off to find Namba alone by herself. There are other search parties, but Ezzi's going to retrace their spot where they must have run back. And she does. With Cadigan's help, she tracks down Namba, who has broken her leg. But fortunately, this time, she's got a healer on her side because Ezzi excels at healing. She grabs some herbs that she had foraged the previous day, applies them correctly, and Cadigan and Ezzi help Namba back to Timberwall. And that is a full summary of last week's game. Okay, if I have this timed right, at 7 o'clock Central, I will be playing, on Friday I should say, I will be playing the next adventure, and it should be going on right now, but, I mean, obviously if it's not Friday, but I'll set this video to premiere for the first time and see what that does, and we'll see how many of you show up in mid-game. Yeah. Next round, probably a vision quest. See everyone later.